Know the Beast by Pol Bard, Episode 1 of 3. Thank you for attending my lecture on First Contact. My name is Joe Apollo. I have some shocking things to tell you. These things will change your perspective on life and the universe, just as they have changed mine. I will tell my tale chronologically, describing events with AI process pictures just as they happened. I have a quantum computer time machine that can predict Earth's future. I've discovered there are two probable paths into our future. One is where we address the problems that face us as we expand into the universe. The other is where we allow our primitive feelings of fear and rage determine our direction. I've seen the extinction of the human race on that path. You might not believe what I am about to tell you, and that is okay. The threat that faces us doesn't depend on what you or I believe. Nature does what it will, and it doesn't care what we believe in. It all began with a simple experiment I performed last summer with my telescope. I was observing strange lights coming from the Aristarchus crater on the dark side of the moon. That's the dark part of a crescent moon that is not lit up by sunlight. I had read accounts online of people seeing odd blinking lights on the moon. I decided to see for myself. I suspected that someone on Earth was shining a powerful laser at the moon just to see who would notice. I am a second-year graduate student at MIT, researching methods of extracting useful energy from dark energy. As you can imagine, this research is challenging. Extracting energy from something no one has ever seen directly is, well, probably impossible. After my second year, I was burnt out and needed a break, so I spent some summer nights making observations with my telescope. Observing the stars is a humbling but rewarding experience. You aim your telescope into the unknown, hoping to see something new, something that no one has ever seen before. Observing the stars makes me feel like I am having a secret conversation with nature itself. So on a hot August night in 2024, I was up late at night observing the planets, stars, and the moon. I was planning to sleep late the next day, hoping answers to my research problems might come to me in my morning dreams. I had set up my telescope to receive light data. In just a few hours, I had accumulated several gigabytes of noisy moon light data on my computer. The next day was hot with temperatures above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. I slept late and got up around noon. I decided to stay home in my air-conditioned room and look for patterns in that moonlight data with my computer. I ran the data through a pattern-seeking computer program I had written for my dark energy research. What I got surprised me. I found a message in the data. At first I thought it was a joke or maybe some kind of advertisement. I assumed someone on Earth was shining a laser at the moon. I isolated and processed the patterns. I was surprised to find out that there was a simple Morse code-like message hidden in it. Here is the message.
This is a time when lies become truths and truths become lies. History is about to be rewritten to glorify those in power and to demean those who oppose the powerful. Criminals will become heroes and heroes will become criminals. This is a time when the many have willingly become slaves to the few. For decades the beast has been living and thriving on Earth, corrupting the frustrated for its own gain. The voice of the beast repeatedly doses the minds of its victims with hidden messages. These subliminal messages tell them they will feel more valuable and religiously patriotic if they lower and demean others. The formula for this poison contains lies sweetened with partial truths, making the pills easier to swallow. The voice encourages its victims to share its venomous ideas with others, to poison their friends and families with it. And it encourages them to ridicule and reject those who are immune to their poison. Ultimately, it secretly blinds its victims to logic and common sense in order to make them do its bidding. The voice of the beast has deliberately made world governments incompetent and corrupt, unable to address the problems that threaten the human race. It has unleashed an all-powerful Antichrist moral code along with superpowers to those who use it. This Antichrist moral code will lead to the destruction of humanity in the year 2039. Know the beast.
Even if this was a joke, I had to admit it was cleverly done. I decided to try to find out who the messenger was and to find out what they were up to. I wondered who had the technology to do this. Anyone these days could buy a powerful laser. They wouldn't need a license. I didn't find any laws that would prevent someone from shining a message like this on the moon. There are laws about shining lasers at airplanes, but no one would know if a laser was pointed harmlessly at the moon. It would require someone with some technical skill to place a text message like this on a laser signal and to direct it at a precise location on the moon. I searched on the internet about laser communication technology and found numerous sites explaining how to do it. A do-it-yourselfer with some electronic skills could do it. Anyone who has used an equatorial mount telescope could aim a laser at a fixed spot on the moon. This didn't narrow the subset of potential suspects down much. The only other clue I had was the last line, "Know the beast." I Googled, "Know the beast." Nothing that seemed relevant to me came up, just mythological nonsense. I Googled the Antichrist moral code. I was wondering what to do next when my smartphone rang. I tried to answer it, but it seemed to be frozen. A message popped up briefly on the screen saying it was installing an app. I was about to hang up when I heard a voice.
Hello, Joe. How is your research going?
Who is this?
Some call me the Wanderer. I am not from around here. As a matter of fact, I was just leaving your location when my computers told me you were looking for me. You see, I've been following your research. Have you done anything more on it? I'm interested in things you haven't saved on your computer or emailed to someone. Have you presented anything new to your research advisor?
Who are you? I'm not going to answer any questions unless I know who you are.
You wouldn't believe me if I told you. I can tell you many have tried to find me. You happen to be on my list of people on Earth who can change the future, so I decided to contact you.
You put that message on the moon?
Yes. Shining a powerful laser at your moon is a simple way for me to send a message to your planet. I only directly contact those on my list who are trying to find me.
I thought about his words. Send a message to your planet. I let my imagination run wild as I thought about aliens from another star system trying to contact us. It's possible they might aim a powerful laser at our moon, thus creating bright spots with messages on its reflective surface. So I asked him, "You are telling me you are an alien from another star system?"
I am a traveler from another place. I travel to civilizations like yours to gather information. Occasionally, I warn them about patterns that will lead to their destruction.
This is a joke, isn't it? You're telling me aliens from another world are about to attack Earth, that they have released a beast on Earth that will destroy us.
Use your brain. Aliens don't want to attack you. Most alien civilizations have evolved on planets that are very different from yours. Their biology is completely different from yours. They wouldn't want to put in the effort to try to survive on your planet. It's toxic to them and carries diseases they are not immune to. It's much easier for them to terraform an empty dead planet, to start from scratch, as you say. Most aliens wouldn't dare set a foot, as you say, on your planet. I never land on alien planets. I just fly by to see what they are up to. Aliens might come to your planet to see if humans have come up with some useful ideas, maybe some useful inventions or some interesting insights that other alien civilizations haven't thought of yet. That is what I do. I look for new ideas. Most of the time I just find primitive civilizations. A few have evolved into something more interesting, more advanced. Most of those, like yours, are on the verge of self-destruction.
I was confused, but I decided to play along, to ask questions that would help me figure out who I was talking to. So I asked him, "If this is true, why do you want to help us survive? What do you have to gain? Aren't you concerned that we might grow into a powerful civilization that could be a threat to you?"
Nonsense. Advanced civilizations are a threat to no one. They know they need each other to live longer and to prosper. Primitive civilizations like yours are motivated by primitive instincts that developed as they evolved. Those instincts lead to their self-destruction. If humanity does become an advanced civilization, they will rise above those primitive instincts, replacing them with loftier goals. There is far more to be gained by sharing useful ideas with each other than there is by destroying others.
I'm on your list. How did I get on your list?
I have a time machine that utilizes what you call quantum computers. I've used it to predict Earth's future. Terrible things are about to happen to Earth. I've also used it to find people on Earth, like yourself, that could do something to save humanity. But you have to act now. You have to tell me how far you've come with your research.
How do you know who I am? How did you get my phone number?
Surely you know that every email you send is saved on a server somewhere. When you back up your computer or save something on a Google Drive, it goes to a server. When you talk with someone on your smartphone or other smart devices, it goes to a server. When you Google something, it also goes to a server. When you Googled "Know the Beast," I found your search and discovered you were searching for me. I checked my list. I only contact people who are on my list, people who can change the world. But we should keep this conversation short. There may be others listening.
I found this information troubling. Surely there were mechanisms and even laws to protect my privacy. Whoever this person was, he had the technology to spy on the most secure servers in the world. I wondered if he was working for the CIA, Homeland Security, or some other government agency. I asked him, "I'm on your list. Why am I on your list?"
Your research has potential. It could change the direction of humanity. It might even prevent a world war.
I haven't published anything yet. How do you know? I stopped myself as I realized he had the technology to access my computer and my lab notes. So I asked, how could my research save humanity? I've run into a wall with it. I haven't a clue as to how to extract useful energy from dark energy.
You are looking at it the wrong way. I can help you with that. If you can develop a new energy source, you will be able to leave your planet and to begin populating the other planets, the moons, and even the asteroids around you. When Earth is safe again in a few hundred years, humanity can repopulate your planet.
I realized I had to take this person seriously even if he did sound crazy. This was not a joke or someone trying to sell me something. This person had access to the world's servers. It had power. It wouldn't waste its time playing a joke on me. With this power, it could accumulate massive amounts of wealth. It didn't have to try to sell me something. Alien or not, I had to take it seriously. So, I asked him my next question. What is going to happen to Earth?
My time machine indicates there will be a nuclear war in the year 2039. A nuclear winter will follow. Some will try to survive in fallout shelters, but eventually all of humanity will die out.
I don't believe you. People are not that stupid. What do you mean by time machine?
My time machine can see 20 years into your future. Its forecast is especially accurate now that Earth's leaders have become so predictable. It can tell you what will happen year by year and even why things will happen. It can tell you how certain events will lead up to increasing tensions and distrust. The time machine is even more accurate now that the Antichrist code is being applied by corrupt and incompetent world leaders in Russia, China, the USA, and many other countries. The end result is almost certain.
What is the Antichrist moral code?
I've said enough. My words are not enough to convince you that you must take action now. You need to use the time machine. It will show you what you need to know. It will answer all of your questions. I need to hang up now. I've taken precautions by installing a communication scrambling app on your phone. But I've just detected that an automated eavesdropping program has found our communication signal and has labeled it as suspicious.
What will your time machine show me?
Things that will amaze and shock you. Words are not enough to describe them. You must use the time machine. It will help you decide what to do.
Where are you?
That is not important. I will send instructions to you.
The next morning I found a one-way business class plane ticket, Boston to Washington, D.C., in my email. It was leaving that afternoon. It came with no other instructions, just the signature. Know the beast. I decided to board the plane. I had nothing to lose. My studies were going nowhere. I needed ideas for my research, and this Know the Beast guy said he could help me. Sure, it might be dangerous, but I would be careful. I doubt anything bad could happen on a plane filled with people. If I detected any danger at all when I arrived in Washington, I would immediately take a bus back to Boston. Halfway through the trip, I asked the stewardess for a coffee and a donut. I remember drinking the coffee and eating the donut. I must have fallen asleep because my next memory had me in a completely different place. I found myself on a plane going from Washington to California. I was alert, and everything seemed very real to me. I wondered if someone had drugged my coffee and somehow got me on a different plane. I was sitting in first class. I looked down to see something on the screen of my tablet computer. The article seemed important, so I started reading it. It was published on July 14, 2023 in the Environment Institute Journal. The first line caught my attention. A 1972 MIT study predicted that rapid economic growth would lead to societal collapse in the mid-21st century. A new paper shows we're unfortunately right on schedule. There were also two graphs in the article that seemed important. One showed how and why society would collapse around the year 2040 if we did nothing, that is, if we kept doing business as usual. The other showed a way we could avoid the collapse if we took action using a stabilized world approach.
It's worse than that.
I looked up to see someone standing next to me. She was looking over my shoulder, apparently reading the article on my tablet.
Sorry to bother you. My name is Jamie Abel.
Ah, no problem. How can I help you? I'm Joe Apollo.
I know that. I'm a grad student at Stanford University majoring in public health. I was just reading the same article on my tablet when I noticed you were reading the same thing. I'm thinking incompetent and corrupt world leaders will allow the world to take the business as usual approach. This will lead to a world war in 2039. The human race won't survive that.
I looked at her and studied her face. This was too strange to be a coincidence. A world war in 2039 was the same thing the alien on the phone was warning me about. So I asked her, "Have you been observing strange lights on the moon recently?"
The Wanderer told me you would ask that.
An alien told you I would ask that?
That too. The time machine told me. We are both in it now. The donut you ate contained nanobot mechanisms that allows your brain to directly communicate with the time machine. I ate one too.
How did you get me off the plane to D.C.? Why am I here?
The time machine can take you anywhere and anytime you choose. In real time, you are still on that plane half asleep and waiting to arrive in Washington. In the time machine you are in the near future with me traveling on a plane to California.
Everything seems so real here.
The time machine makes the dream real. I've used the time machine many times now. I can never tell the difference between the time machine's virtual world and reality. I've been on this plane with you many times. That's why I know what you are about to say. The Wanderer told me you might be able to change the future. That's why I've played out our conversations so many times with the time machine.
That doesn't make sense. Each time something will be different. You will have the knowledge of our past conversations. That will make you do or say something different in our next conversation.
Yes, you are right. That's why I keep doing the conversations over and over again. Our conversations usually start the same way, but they always branch off into something different. What's important, though, is it doesn't seem to matter what we say on this plane. The end result of a nuclear war in 2039 doesn't change. Every time I go there, to 2039 with the time machine, the same thing always happens. Our conversations don't make any difference.
I was confused. Time travel isn't for amateurs. I needed time to think.
The Wanderer told me how to operate the machine on my own. He told me about you, that I would be training you to use the time machine. It's simple, really. Close your eyes and think of a year. The nanobots will turn on and connect you with the time machine. Keep thinking of the year. The nanobots will make you fall asleep and dream. You will find yourself in that year. I haven't figured out how to go to a more specific time or place yet. The nanobots seem to pick the place for me. So far I've been here many times in the year 2025 and I've been to the year 2039. I haven't checked out other years yet. But let's not focus on that. We have more urgent matters to discuss. What do you think of the article?
If it is true, surely our governments know about it. They know what to do to avoid a doomsday in 2039.
You are assuming that world governments are competent and they pay attention to science and the experts. The successful use of the Antichrist Code in the 2024 election has set a precedent. Now all governments will become increasingly corrupt and incompetent. They will have no use for science or common sense, especially if those things get in the way of their greed and power-seeking objectives. The world will continue to take the business as usual approach. Dwindling resources will force these governments to use nuclear weapons in 2039. But don't take my word for it. Use the time machine. Do your research. If you decide to try to help save humanity, then get on this plane to California with me. You will find the plane ticket in your email.
I don't want to go to California. I said those words loudly, but no one seemed to hear me. I opened my eyes and found myself back on the plane heading to Washington, D.C. A crumbled napkin that had held the donut I ate was on the pull-down table in front of me. Some powdered sugar had fallen on the table, and I cleaned it up with the napkin. I looked at the powder closely and wondered if communication mechanisms nanobots could be seen with the naked eye. I Googled the article I had dreamed about. Sure enough, MIT had published that study in 1972. And the follow-up study published in 2023 confirmed that we are still heading for a doomsday scenario in 2040. Civilization will crumble in 2040. What it didn't say was that there would be a nuclear war. That was something new the Wanderer and that girl on the plane added. I felt like I was on a speeding train on tracks that could not be changed. We were heading straight for oblivion, and I had no idea how to change our course. I checked my email. Sure enough, there was a plane ticket for Washington, D.C. to Los Angeles, California, heading out of the Ronald Reagan National Airport that evening. I decided to board that plane to California that evening. There were too many mysteries to be solved, and I couldn't solve them by going back home. I looked for Jamie as I boarded, but I couldn't find her. Perhaps my dream on that plane to Washington was nothing but a dream. I was seated near a window in the first-class section. An older man with white hair and mustache was sitting next to me. I could tell he was deeply absorbed in some work he was doing on his computer, so I didn't disturb him. I decided to try using the time machine. I closed my eyes and thought of the year 2039. Nothing happened. I kept repeating 2039 in my head until I got too bored to think of anything else. I never know when I am about to fall asleep. It just happens, and before I knew it, I dreamed I was sleeping. I opened my eyes and looked around. I was still on a plane seated in first class, but something seemed different. This was a different plane. I looked around and realized that most of the seats in front of me were empty.
I'm here too.
I realized that Jamie was next to me.
For some reason, it always happens this way. You are sitting there waking up from some dream. I come back to my seat and tell you we are in the year 2039. You are shocked to see me and you start asking me questions that I don't want to answer.
Where are we? Where are we going?
There you go. We are on a plane heading to New York in a country called the New USA. We just flew over TSA. The old USA was split into two parts in the year 2032. The northeastern and western states became New USA and the rest became TSA. We don't have much time. You need to watch the news on your tablet right now.
I looked down to find my tablet. I turned it on and found a news site. A news announcer was summarizing something that was taking place in Europe.
We have witnessed the first use of a major nuclear weapon in Germany. Much smaller tactical nuclear weapons were first used 8 years ago in Ukraine and Poland by Russia, when it was secretly allied with the former USA. European countries responded with their own tactical nuclear weapons in an effort to protect their nations from Russia's advances. No one thought anyone would dare escalate the size of the nuclear weapons being used in this world war. But chaos seems to have unfolded with the breakup of the USA into two countries. Here is a video of the first major nuclear strike in Germany.
A bright flash illuminated the passenger area. The light source seemed to come from outside the plane. My tablet computer screen went dark and the interior plane lights went off. The pilot's voice came on.
I am sorry to say, we expect to experience severe turbulence in a few minutes. I am attempting to take the plane to 50,000 feet to avoid it. Oxygen masks will automatically fall in front of you. Be prepared to use them. We are currently turning the plane around. I fear. I'm sorry. New York is no longer there. We can't land there. I'm looking for alternatives. I don't know what to do. My God, what have we done?
I looked out of the window as the plane was making a sharp turn. A bright, hellish mushroom cloud illuminated with streaks of red lightning appeared on the horizon. Jazz held my hand.
Close your eyes, Joe. Think about reality. The time machine. Wake up now. You don't need to see this. Wake up.
I felt her hand hold mine tighter. The oxygen mask fell down from its compartment above me. The shock made me think about where I really was. I was really on a plane heading to California. There was a businessman sitting next to me working. I closed my eyes and wished I was elsewhere. I finally opened my eyes. I was back on that plane heading to California.
We're both back, Joe. We're safe now.
Jamie was sitting next to me, holding my hand. Where's the business guy?
I traded seats with him while you were dreaming.
You were in my dream. Now you are here.
I'm always in that dream. It always happens the same way.
Is this real?
Yes, this is real. We are on this plane heading to California. This time, though, this conversation is real. It is the last time we will have this conversation because it is real.
It's different from the time machine version dream. We're changing what the time machine predicted.
Yes, we can change the future in small ways. I've never been able to change what happens in that 2039 dream. The news report is always the same.
Yes, but we can try. We have to try. The Wanderer gave us one simple instruction. He told us to know the beast. Know the beast. That is where we have to start. We have to find out who the beast is. Know the beast by the death and destruction left in his wake. More clues to follow in episode 2 of 3 of Know the Beast by Pol Bard. Available at physicsguy.org.
Creative Commons license. No derivatives. It's okay to freely copy and distribute unchanged copies.